Constructors. Constructors have the same name as the class. Here we have created one class fast food, and this is the constructor because it is having same name. The class name is food fast food and the constructor name is also fast food. Now if we try to rename this, then we can see method must have return type. If the name is different than the class, then it becomes method. So we have to give here void or any return type like int. If we rename this to fast food new, we can see this name of constructor is become class name. So this is the sign of constructor. The class name is and constructor name always same. Rename to original one. Constructors don't have any return type or void. We have given here void, and if we try to build a solution, we get the error. Fast food member names cannot be the same as their enclosing type. Now it is not remain as a constructor, and the constructor only have the same name. If it contains same name, then it must not have any return type. If it is have return type, then the name should be different. Here if we give different name, then only there is no error. And we can see here, if there is void, then if we rename this, the name is also, the class name is also not changed because it becomes method. If we give here int and give the same name here, give the name fast food, member name cannot be the same as their enclosing type. If the name is same, it becomes constructor. The constructor has no void and int. If there is int and there is the same name, it gives error. So here if we give different name, then only error solved. So in the case of method, there is different name and it contains int or void or any return type. But if the name is same, it becomes constructor, and we cannot give int or void here. If we remove this int and void, then only there is no error. So constructors don't have any return type or void. The constructor is special type of method that is called or invoked automatically when an object of the given class is created. Constructor is method, but it is special kind of method because it don't have any void and don't have any return type, so it becomes special type of method. And also if we create passport is equal to f1 new password, if we create the object and if we run the program, we have pizza available now. We can see it is special kind of method, because if there is method then we have to access that method with the help of object. But here we have created the object and we have not accessed the method with this object. So this is the special kind of method, because it don't have any void or int and don't need to access with object, because it is invoked automatically after the creation of object. Constructor is used to initialize the object of the class. Here we can see we have created the object. When we create the object fast food f1 is equal to new fast food. This is the constructor. In this way, constructor is used to initialize the object of the class. Constructor is useful to initialize and set default values for the data members. If we take here int p, we have taken integer variables, then console or write line price pizza. If we run the program, we get the output. We have pizza available now. Price of pizza is equal to 0. We have not given any value for p. Here we have taken int p. Then directly we have taken here p. Because of this constructor, this integer variable is initialized and set the value of this variable is equal to 0. So we get this output. In this way, constructor is useful to initialize and set default values for the data members. If there is no constructor, the compiler will automatically create one default constructor of that class. Here we create one method. If we now here there is no constructor. This is the method with name fast food new. Now we have to access this method with object. Now we have accessed this method with object. If we run the program, now the output is price of pizza is equal to 0. Here we have not given any value for this variable in this method, and we have not initialized this variable. Even though we can see here price of pizza is equal to 0. Now we can see this variable is initialized automatically and set the value of variable is equal to 0. So we get the output price of pizza is equal to 0. But here we can see here there is no any constructor. The constructor only, we have seen that constructor is useful to initialize and set default values for the data members. But here we can see there is no any constructor. Then how it happens? The variable gets initialized and value of the variable is set to 0. So we get the output price of pizza is equal to 0. The reason is if there is no constructor, the compiler will automatically create one default constructor of that class. The compiler has created one default constructor, and because of that default constructor, the value of this variable get initialized and set to 0. So we get the output price of pizza is equal to 0. In this way, if there is no constructor, the compiler will automatically create one default constructor of that class. A class can have any number of constructors. Here we remove this method. Here our constructor. Now here there is another constructor, static fast food. Here we can see there are two constructors, and there is no any error. Constructors can have access modifiers. Here in our first constructor we can see access modifier is public. In new constructor we can see access modifier is static. If we run the program, we get the output burger is available now. We have pizza available now. Price of pizza is equal to 0. Here we can see the static constructor invoked first, then public constructor invoked. So we get this output. In this way, a class can have any number of constructors. Constructor can have access modifiers. If constructor does not have any parameters or arguments, then that constructor is called as default constructor. First we remove this static constructor. We can see here in our constructor there is no any parameters. Here also we have not passed any parameters. Here we can see Here we can see there are no parameters or arguments. So this constructor is called as default constructor. So that's all for constructor in C sharp. Thanks for watching.